10 random magic cards. Day number 158, everybody. You ready? I'm ready. I'm so ready for some content. To make some, it's my favorite thing. Besides magic, for the most part. We got Breaching Hippocamp here first, everybody. A big one. This is from Theros. It's 10 cents. It's also in Foundation's Jumpstart. I didn't know that. Nice. This is 4 mana, 3 and a blue for a 3/2 horsefish with flash. It's a horsefish. You know. Who, you never heard of a horsefish? When Breaching Hippocamp enters the battlefield, untap another target creature that you control. The worst of the hippocamps. There's a few good ones. But this one's pretty drafty. You know what I mean? It might be fun in combat to flash in, untap a guy, block up. But that's some limited stuff to do right there. So I gotta say though, you know, flash is a cool ability. I'll give him a 3. Yeah, right out of 3. I was thinking like 2.8 or something. You know, flash. I'm being generous. It's the holidays. It's Christmas time. So let's look at Vivid Marsh. I think we've rated the Vivid lands as, you know, a whole before. We've looked at, I can't remember which one. I think it was the white Vivid land. Vivid Meadow? Can't be right. It can't be right. But yeah, I think we've looked at Vivid lands before, and I rate them really highly. They're like little gemstone mines that never stop tapping for mana, because gemstone mine eventually does, you know. But in this case, you get to keep tapping it for black forever, and that's really good. So I like these. I'm going to give them 7s. Somewhere in there. I don't know what I'd give Gemstone Mine. I don't think we've hit it yet. So we'll see. It'll be the next card. Sphinx of Jwar Isle is card number 3 on the day, originally printed in Zendikar. This is 6 mana, 4 and 2 blue for a 5/5. Sphinx with flying and shroud. You may look at the top card of your library. Just anytime. The reminder text even said you may do this anytime you want to. What freedom. 6 mana for a 5/5 flying shroud. Flying shroud. We've come a long way since Autumn Willow, you know. It gets an extra point of power toughness. It's got flying. It's even got an extra little tiny piece of icing, you know. For the most part, this cake's pretty dry, but it's got a little dot right on top of the muffin there of delicious icing. I mean, I guess sometimes looking at the top card of your library is like, okay, but it doesn't actually do anything. That's the problem with it. It doesn't actually do anything. So that's a problem. But this is way worse than, I don't know, most creatures you could play at 6 mana. You know, Magic has its share of crappy 6 mana creatures. This one feels like pretty intro packy. Sometimes I mean that as a compliment, but not necessarily this time. I don't know. Shroud's a good ability, but I'm just not like super impressed. I'm gonna give this a 4.8. I think it's just shy of the mark. You know, I feel bad. It's like better than Mahamoti Jin or Shivan Dragon or Sarah Angel. You know, it's like way better than it's better than Autumn Willow, but I just don't have any memories. Imagine this card printed in 1995. We would all be like, oh, dude, Sphinx of Jwar, dude, it's so nostalgic. No, it's not in this case, though. Sorry. You're good. You're a cool looking Magic card, though. I like cards like this, but I can't rate them like super high. Next is the First Doctor, the very first Doctor, everybody. This is 3 mana, 1 a white and a blue for a 2/2 legendary Time Lord Doctor. When the first Doctor enters the battlefield, search your library and or graveyard for a card named TARDIS. Reveal it, put it into your hand. If you search your library this way, shuffle. When you cast a spell with Cascade, there's the money. When you cast a spell with Cascade, put a +1/+1 counter on target artifact or creature. So, okay, you get to tutor for your 1 copy of TARDIS. So I guess Commander card's a tutor, kind of, okay. And then Cascade. It's Cascade Commander in blue-white. Those are kind of weird Cascade colors, I think. I guess blue Cascades. White does, it's like, oh, you know, it's like you can't Cascade in white. It's just weird colors. I guess it's a pretty unique ability. This I will say, okay, so you Cascaded. What broken thing do I get to do every time I Cascade? It's not even every time you Cascade. It's whenever you cast a spell with Cascade. That's different. Okay, so I went through all that trouble to pay a bunch of mana for a Cascade spell, usually. Whatever it is. So what amazing thing do I get to do? I put a counter on a guy. Okay, I guess that's fine. Whatever. Like, it's really not that good. A 3.8, dude. I'm kind of hard on the Doctor Who stuff and the Fallout stuff and like the Assassin's Creed cards. I think I'm like kind of hard on those. So sorry, but I think this card is kind of like not good. Eat to Extinction. Ooh, Eat to Extinction is a cool card. This is up next. It's from Theros Beyond Death. This is 4 mana. 3 and a black for an instant. Exile target creature or planeswalker. Look at the top card of your library. It's one of these again. You may put that card into your graveyard. So you see how this does more than just look at the top card of your library? It's like, if the card sucks, you can get rid of it. And if the card is reanimatable, you can put it in your yard. That's all good. But exile a creature or planeswalker is a bit too much at 4 mana. Even at instant speed and the exile clause, that's all good stuff. But I'm just not sure how much you're really going to play this in lieu of like better removal options. So, but it is a decent removal spell. The exile clause is really important. I'll say that much. And you surveil. You surveil 1. It's literally what this does. I'm going to give this a solid 5. Even though I do think it costs like a mana too much. At 3 mana, this would be like, not insane, but like playable. At 4, it's almost playable, depending on what you're trying to do. You know, so I'll give it a solid 5. I think it's the best card we've seen for the most part, I think, today. But I'm going to stop looking at it because the more I look at it, the more teeth I realize it has, and that's freaky, man. So let's move on to Carrier Thrall here. This was originally printed in Battle for Zendikar. Got a lot of Zendikar references today. 2 mana, 1 and a black for a 2/1 vampire. When it dies, you put up 1/1 colorless Eldrazi Scion creature token onto the battlefield. It has sacked this guy to add a mana to your mana pool. So, a little bit better than the 0/1s that you sometimes see with this like exact ability. This isn't terrible. This actually is not so bad. I like a good like dies trigger. I've seen this guy a few times, but I will say as many like Elisil Core and like Judith commander decks as I put together, like as much as I'm always looking at cards for those decks and like ordering new stuff, I've never really considered this. But maybe I should, you know, like it's ramp. It's a guy that has a cool dies trigger that gets another body on the battlefield. So if you sack it, that's, you know, +4/+4 to an Nantuko Husk. Or more for a Woe Strider, you know. Extra bodies is always good. I like bodies you sack and they leave a body behind. But in this case, the body it leaves behind can be sacked even without like another sack outlet around. And that's kind of cool. It's ramp, you know. So this is like kind of fine. And I'm going to give it a 4.9. So, like dead serious, dude, you know. Like it's kind of a better Doom Dissenter in some ways. That's interesting. So I don't know if it's like always better than Doom Dissenter, because like Doom Dissenter I think puts like a bigger creature on the table than it is. Like, Doom Dissenter is like a 1/1 and it puts a 2/2 into play. So like, you know, there's a bunch of creatures like this, and I tend to kind of like them a little bit. They have to be really good for me to play them. I'm not sure this is like quite there, but it's pretty good. You know, block, trade, ramp. All right, it's fine. It's just not bad. Next is Cavern Whisperer. A lot of black cards today. This is from my Coriolera Behemoths. 5 mana, 4 and a black for a 4/4 Nightmare with Mutate, 3 and a black. That's a nightmare to explain Mutate to somebody that's never seen it. This thing has Menace, and whenever it mutates, each opponent discards a card. So this last line of text, whenever it mutates, a lot of Mutate creatures have that. And what Mutate means is if you cast a spell for its Mutate cost, put it over or under a non-human creature you own. They mutate into the creature on top, plus all abilities from up under it. You see how it's even the reminder text, which is worded in like the wonkiest, driest way possible, is like, what? You know? So basically it's what it sounds like. You're like melding. Well, melding is a whole ability unto itself. So you're mutating creatures and you're turning 2 creatures into one guy with all the abilities of the creature on under the top creature, but it has the power and toughness of the top creature. So it's very, very strange. Most of you, I think, watching this know what Mutate does. So you don't need the primer, but I do have an awful lot of people who say they started in like Wildsville Drain and Bloomburrow and stuff. So you've never seen this. It's super freaky and like it's better than it looks. But this one in particular is like pretty drafty, honestly. So next time we see Mutate, I'll probably have to give the whole primer over again. But you saw this episode, so you won't need it. That's good for you, I guess. Mutate's such a weird ability, but some people really love it. That said, I'm not going to give this any more than like a 3.2. The each player discards, each opponent discards. That's, you know, pretty good. It's 3 cards in a game of Commander. And it's every time it mutates. So that'll add up pretty quickly. I'm not saying this is like god awful, but you know, it's very narrow. And even in mutate decks, you probably do better probably, right? Mutate gets pretty busted sometimes. Irrigated farmland is a cycling dual land that also is a plains and an island, and ETB's tapped. I don't think we've done these yet. This is originally printed not actually as long ago as you'd think. Yeah, Amonkhet here just a few years back. I say just a few years back. How long ago was Amonkhet, dude? Like a million years? I think everything was 6 years ago. You know, that's how my magic brain works. It's like, that sounds about right. Yeah, 6 years. 6 years? Sure, let's take it. Probably more than that. These are good. These are great, dude. They're dual lands. They're fetchable because they're Plains Island, you know, or whatever. Like they have the basic land type of the mana they produce, and they're more than just fetchable, right? Like certain things count the number of planes that you have in play, like lay down arms or something, and this would count for that. So, you know, there's reasons beyond fetchability that you want like land types. So this is just like altogether good. The ETB's tapped is like the worst part. But obviously, right? It's the only bad part. what genius analysis, right? This is what you tune in for. But altogether, like they're really stretching that drawback, right? Usually, just the baseline is a guild gate or something, right? Dual land, ETB's tap, no basic land types, can't cycle it. So like the addition of a couple of like pretty good upsides on this makes these decent. I'm gonna give these a 7.4. I think we'll go there with it. Yeah, we'll go there with it. That's a pretty high score, but I tend to score dual lands like pretty high. Breath of Darigaaz is up next from Invasion over here, baby. This is 2 mana, 1 and a red for a sorcery with Kicker 2. Breath of Darigaaz deals 1 damage to each creature without flying and each player if you pay the Kicker cost. Instead, Breath deals 4 damage to each creature without flying and each player. So that's a lot, right? If you pay 4 mana for this, 4 to everything without flying and each player. That's actually, man, that's actually pretty gross. You think about it. I mean, 2 mana for 1 damage to everything is actually pretty good in like the 5 mana Judith. I play the 3 mana Judith, but the 5 mana Judith wants 1 damage to everything. So that's pretty good. Just any effect like this in that deck's great. But there's a couple of other commanders that might want it. There's also like Enrage decks with a bunch of dinosaurs and stuff. You could consider playing this and like, you know, take a couple of small dudes off the board while also like proccing Enrage on your dinosaurs. Yeah, it's not bad. I like effects like this, and I especially like the kicker on this where it's kind of like Mizium Mortars or something that also hits players. So that seems actually fairly good, and it was good enough to be reprinted in a couple of Commander products there. So I'm going to, what's the list version? Is it the old one? Yeah, the list version is the Invasion one. It's cool. I'm going to give this like a 5.6, man. Like, I think it might actually be better than that, but it's a little bit below rate on the first mode, I guess, like the non-kicked mode, but you still take it some of the time, you know? Especially in decks that specifically want this effect. But even if you're not in a deck that wants this effect because you're doing like weird stuff, like I could still see a reason for a red deck to play this card, you know? So I'm into it probably more than I should be. I'm sticking with 5.6 before I give it any more points. Let's move on to Mario Kill from Unstable. We do not look at uncards around here. Blood Feud, everybody, from Darkest. I don't have anything necessarily against uncards. It's not. I don't know. Blood Feud. I guess I do, right? 6 mana, 4 and 2 red for a sorcery. Target creature fights another target creature. 6 mana for that effect. Seems like a bit much, but obviously in Commander, neither one of the creatures has to be yours. So that's neat, right? You take out 2 guys by making them slap one another. So that's very adorable, but is it a good magic card? Not at 6, dude. 6 mana? Are you kidding me? You talking about 6 mana? No, we're not doing that. So I'm going to give this like a 2.8. You know, it's removal, but you're going to pay 6. You're going to pay 6 mana? I don't know, dude. So I guess it gives red away to take out large creatures. Stop, Dev. Stop it. It's like blasphemous act if you're going to do stuff like that. So I think it's probably pretty bad. That is the final card of the day, though, everybody. I will see you bright and early tomorrow. Hope your weekend's good. Got your holiday shopping done? You don't. You don't. You're sitting here watching me. That's fine. Do that. It's cool. I love you. Bye.